Alrighty, hello Eagle Summit. We're going to go ahead and get started just because we're a little behind right now. I'm Justin Williams here in the School of Public Affairs. I'm the Undergraduate Recruitment and Retention Manager. Welcome. Today you will hear from the Dean of the School of Public Affairs, the Assistant Dean for Undergraduate Education here in the School of Public Affairs, one of our fabulous faculty members, and the director of our leadership program. So we kind of have a tight schedule to get to without cutting into the library break too much after this. So I'm going to turn it over to the Dean of the School of Public Affairs, Dean Romzek.
Thank you. And I want to congratulate all the students on being smart enough to choose American University and being smart enough to get admitted to American University. And parents for getting your students to this stage in life. I'm sure you feel that it's an accomplishment in itself and you're hoping for even more in the future. I promise that our faculty and our staff who have worked so hard to make sure you're the right people to admit to American University will also be the ones who work hard to make sure you succeed at American University. We look at our applications very carefully, but once we admit people, we work very hard with our students to make sure you have the well-rounded experience in the classroom with faculty who will mentor you, with faculty who will teach you, and with faculty who will help you reach out into the world and help you get internships and the real-world experience that you can combine with the classroom experience. You will find that your classmates are bright, talented, hardworking, and ambitious, and we expect the same of you. You will find you learn as much from your fellow students as you learn from your faculty members. That is a good thing. That doesn't mean that our faculty aren't fabulous. It means that our students are equally exciting sources of knowledge and information. So I encourage you to reach out to people who don't come from your neighborhood, to get to know students who come from a different part of the country or from a different country. You can learn from them as much about yourself as about the courses you're taking and about life in general. So think of your experience, your time at American University as learning 24 hours, not just learning for the time you're in the classroom. You are part of a student body that is attending a world-class School of Public Affairs. We're among the top-ranked schools in the country. You will have top-ranked faculty who do extraordinary work. Their research is recognized nationally and internationally. And what you find when you come to American University is you have a small class with those faculty members, so you don't get lost in a class of 300 students and never get a chance to ask your questions. So you will find that we have a tremendous impact on you as students. I encourage you to be open to that experience. But I also want you to think about something. What impact do you want to have on your educational experience? And what impact do you want to have on the world? We educate people to be leaders, and you'll hear from the director of our leadership program about one way you can develop those leadership skills. But the long term, we want you to be thinking about who you want to become, what skills you need to develop, what knowledge you need to acquire so you can go out and have an impact on the world, have an impact that you want, an impact that you design, and an impact that you choose. That's what we're here to help you do. We're here to help you become independent thinkers, independent actors, and citizens of the world. I wish you luck for the next 4 years. You'll have a great time with our faculty, and you'll have a great time with our students. Thank you.
All righty, and so now we're going to hear from the Assistant Dean of Undergraduate Education, Dean Waters.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can everyone hear me in the back? Yes, I've never been accused of being quiet, but if I am too quiet, please let me know, okay? So welcome. I have a unique perspective on joining the School of Public Affairs because I'm not just the assistant dean and a faculty member in SPA, but I'm also an alum of SPA. So pretty much exactly 20 years ago, I was sitting right where you're sitting. So when I give these remarks, I try to think through, okay, what was I thinking at the time? And do I have any bit of wisdom I can now offer you? So I will try to offer some little tidbits of wisdom as we go forward. This is a jumping off point for you. You've spent the last 12 years of your education knowing what was coming next, right? You got up 7th grade, you went on to 8th grade. In 10th and 11th grade, you started thinking about the SATs and you started thinking about college, right? I'm betting most of you knew at some point you would go on to some sort of college or university setting. Maybe you didn't know where, but you knew you were going. You knew the next step. And now, for the first time, the next step isn't all that clear. You know you're coming here at the end of August, and you know on that first day of classes, you're going to get up and you're going to go to class, right? You're going to go to class? Yes. Every class? Yes. Agreement? Yes, every class, right? And you know you're going to do that. But after that, meeting those academic challenges, you don't know what's next. And I remember sitting in your spot and thinking, wow, that's awesome. And also, my God, that's terrifying, right? But that's okay. It is okay not to know what the exact next step is. In fact, I would submit to you that that is the best place to be, because that is where the good stuff happens. No one has it all figured out, really. I think it's really easy to sit in a room like this with accomplished colleagues and think, wow, this person next to me has already planned their next 6 internships and knows every class he or she's going to take. Or this person sitting next to me saved a small country before coming to AU. Guarantee she didn't, she's just telling you that she did, right? But it's easy to compare yourself to others, but it's not what you should be doing. Over the next 4 years, what you need to figure out is how to become the best version of yourself. Each of you has already proven that you are academically successful. You got the grades, you checked all the boxes we wanted you to check on the college application. You wouldn't be here otherwise. You are excellent and you are joining a community of excellence. But there is a difference between being excellent and being perfect. There is a difference between being excellent and saying, I'm never going to make mistakes, because you know what? You're going to make mistakes and you should. There's a great quote that I love from Anna Quindlen, who is an author who gave a commencement speech about 20 years ago. And she said this: trying to be perfect may be sort of inevitable for people like us. People who are smart and ambitious and interested in the world. But nothing important or meaningful or beautiful or interesting or great ever came out of imitations. The thing that is really hard and really amazing is giving up on being perfect and beginning the work of becoming yourself. Over the next 4 years, you need to become yourself, and you won't do that just by doing whatever the next thing I should do is. You won't do that by only focusing on what's the next box I can check. You need to make mistakes. You need to do the thing that you haven't done. You need to give people a chance, including your roommates. And I will tell you a story about roommates. When I came to AU 20 years ago, I was in a phase where I wore a lot of black, not much has changed, but I only wore t-shirts that had sayings on it, right? It wasn't worth wearing unless I was conveying some sort of political message. And I met my roommate, and I was from the East Coast, very East Coast. I met my roommate, she was from the Midwest. She wore a lot of pink, she rode horses, she was very bubbly, and I thought, this is never gonna work. It's not gonna work, right? 10 years later, I was the maid of honor at her wedding, and she was the maid of honor at mine. Okay? So give that person a chance, okay? Talk to the person who you think has nothing to teach you, and you'll probably find out that person has the most to teach you. You need to get on one of the city buses, not knowing where it's going. Get on the metro going the wrong way, because that's where you're going to find the good stuff. What's the stop? What's the stop you need to get off at for Tenleytown? What line are you on?
Red line, Shady Grove.
Red line, Shady Grove, and what's the stop?
Tenleytown.
Tenleytown AU. Good. So you're already ahead of the game. All right. You need to apply for the dream internship. You need to go abroad, right? You need to take classes outside of your comfort zone. I don't want you to come to the School of Public Affairs and only take government or law classes. I want you to go across campus and take the opera class, or take the art class, take the science class. I want you to be interesting people in 20 years, not just fabulous political scientists, right? When you go to that fundraiser or that fancy cocktail party in 20 years, if all you can say to me is, oh, well, let's talk about the recent electoral counts, you're going to be a boring person, right? That's important, but you need to do the things that make you interesting, okay? No one else has it all figured out. Allow yourself to do the new things, take on the challenges, and make mistakes. My next piece of advice, coffee is not a food group, really. Okay? Now I say this jokingly, and I like my coffee as much as the next person, but while you are here, if you are going to succeed academically, you need to be healthy, right? And that includes sleeping at night. That includes drinking things other than coffee. It means hydrating, and it means eating your veggies, okay? You will not succeed academically if you are not healthy, all right? You will see me walking across the quad, and you'll have your coffee, and I will come up to you and I say, coffee's not a food group, right? So be ready for that when you see me on the quad. Take ownership. This is the part that I think distinguishes high school from college. Okay? In high school, you had a guidance counselor, or 2 or 3, who said, this is the next course you're going to take, here is the SAT form, here are the college applications, what do we do next, right? That doesn't happen here. While there is a support network in place to help you, you need to go find the opportunities and seek things out. You have entered a community of scholars who are excellent and set the bar. And what distinguishes AU scholars and faculty from other schools is that we're doing the work that we teach, right? We're not just teaching the government classes, we're not just teaching the law classes, we're actually litigating. We're the ones testifying on the Hill. We're the ones advising senators and representatives. We're the ones who are advising President Obama, right? You need to take advantage of that. It would be very easy to come to SPA, sit in your classroom, sit in the back, take good notes, and never say a word. Never engage. Never go to office hours. You could do that, but you would be making a mistake. You need to take full advantage of the expertise that is here. You need to find a mentor. You need to go to office hours, push yourself out of that comfort zone. And you need to take advantage of the campus. There won't be a single day that goes by that there isn't some amazing activity on campus. Whether it's a new art show at the Katzen Art Center, or whether, as we had last semester, the DC mayoral debates hosted here on campus, or the semester before, President Obama speaking on campus. Okay? Maybe it's the Supreme Court preview that we put on every year, talking about the blockbuster cases before the court. Maybe it's joining our award-winning mock trial team, ranked 7th in the nation, right? Yeah. Clap for that. 7th in the nation. Maybe it's joining our leadership program. Maybe it's joining the bocce ball club, right? But you need to take advantage of those opportunities. You need to take ownership. From here on out, your academic career belongs to you. Coffee is still not a food group. Okay? Words of wisdom. If you remember nothing else from today, remember that coffee is not a food group. And finally, you need to breathe. It's easy to say, all right, next step, next step, next step. Right? You need to sit back and breathe. I have a good friend who constantly says to me, breathing is underappreciated. Right? You need to take advantage of the time to just breathe. You need to allow for missteps. You need to seize those opportunities. You need to explore. You need to falter. You need to make mistakes, and you need to take full advantage. And while you're doing it, take some time to breathe. All right. Now we are going to hear from one of our esteemed faculty members, Dr. Tricia Bacon. She is a professor in justice law and criminology and has an extensive background working on homeland security issues. Secretly convinced that she's actually a spy, so we might know that. But Professor Bacon.
Christine Waters happens to mysteriously disappear between now and when you come on campus, don't ask too many questions and forget that she just said that about me. That I'm going to ask of you. No, I'm really glad to see you guys. It's actually really exciting to see a new group of freshmen come on campus, because when I look out at you, there's like all this potential kind of teeming out there. It's a very exciting time for you, but it's an exciting time for us to see, like, you could have the next Attorney General in front of you, an FBI agent, and, you know, a CIA officer for real. There's so much potential when you start to look out in this room of like where you're going to go, and be sure that where you think you're going to go right now is probably not where you'll end up, because life is not linear like that. But it's exciting to have those plans, and it's exciting to have those ambitions, and I know there's so many smart people in the room. So I want to tell you a little bit about me as a person. I'm a faculty member, but I'm a human being. Those things happen at the same time. As well as how I see my role for you and what I expect from you. I know that I did a little poll amongst people that I know who are 17, which is my niece, one of my friend's kids, and, you know, a few other people like that. So it's very scientific. What do you want to know from a professor at this point when you're coming into college? Because I usually get you once you're here. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what it is that I expect, and I think I can speak authoritatively on this matter for some of my colleagues as well. So first things first, who am I? Dr. Yes, all right. Being in the front row is the best. And who is this? This is my best friend, Erin. What is it that you need to know about Erin? She's with Dr. Bacon. She's with Dr. Bacon. Is that my favorite t-shirt ever? The answer, yes. In a party that they had for me the day after, the night I finished my dissertation, everyone showed up wearing these t-shirts. I know, adorably, they got one for my parents, and my dad, I swear to you, has not stopped wearing it since. Which at times is a little awkward, but it's mostly adorable. It's mostly adorable. So, how did I get here? I joined the faculty in the spring of last year, so I've been here about a year and a half at this point. I was an adjunct faculty first, and then I've been here full-time for the last year. So, I started off at the University of Florida, at Stetson University as an undergrad. I was living in Cleveland, Ohio, and trying to decide where I should go to undergrad. And I thought, Florida seems super, it's warm, I hate the winter. So there I went, off to Stetson. So you guys are already way more sophisticated in your calculation of what you should do as an undergrad than I was. I played volleyball there. It's a Division I school, so I'm very excited about how good our volleyball team here at American is. They made it to the tournament last year, if you don't follow that. And when I get volleyball players in my class, I get super excited. I still think I can play, so don't disabuse me of that, okay? And then I went on to the University of Florida. I got a master's in public affairs there, so I continued to enjoy the Florida weather. But then it came time, you know, to do some other things. So I came up here, went to Georgetown for my PhD. Started it in 2006, graduated last year, and you can see the moment where it all happened. So it was a long and difficult slog, which everyone will tell you about a PhD in particular. I did it while I was working full-time, and I can attest for all PhDs that it's always hard. Do not recommend doing it while you're working full-time. So I have a tradition of naming animals after where I went to school. This is my dog, Gator. She has some confusion about why she's named after a different animal. She's working on it. This is Hoya. He doesn't know what a Hoya is, so he's like the rest of us. He doesn't have to know. I had a dog who's no longer with me from my Stetson years, and I'm waiting for my eagle to go up here. This cat is in fact a product of one of my students who was fostering him and started to work on me, and work on me, and work on me. And now Hoya lives with me. So this is one of the additional benefits of your faculty members. You can sometimes get them to do things like that. Well, where was I in the intervening 10 years after I graduated from the University of Florida and today? I spent those years at the Department of State, and I spent them going all over the world. And it was a really exciting career. Can you tell some of the places that I've been based on these pictures? A mud pile? I heard like 12 murmurings and nothing definitive. Give it to me again. India. I was in India, right? I'm at the Taj Mahal. I'm in Agra. I'm in Mumbai. I'm at the Taj Mahal Hotel. I'm in Delhi here, in front of one of the famous mosques. Where else?
Israel.
London. London. Yeah. Big fan.
Israel.
Israel. Okay, you were my brave first speaker. How old do you think I am? That's not loaded. How much do I weigh? It's totally a trick question. You can say whatever. I'm not going to. 50. You see me crying in the corner. This is the Dead Sea mud that you find in the Dead Sea in Israel. I used that. I am, in fact, 75, so you are. I'm not hurt at all. You don't look at me. That ship has sailed. Where else have I been?
Morocco. Camel, that's my guess on the beach. No.
Here?
Yeah.
Oh, I was in Karachi. Good guess, though. I was in Karachi riding a camel, which turns out was explicitly against the rules for what Americans were allowed to do in Karachi. But the first hint might have been that my bodyguard was taking the picture, but it's fine. I didn't get in too much trouble for that. Where else? You see me riding a horse. I was at a winery in Virginia. So that's slightly different than what I was doing at the State Department. I like to include things that I've done recently, like the fireworks on the mall, which in fact my college roommate came up here for them. She's still my best friend. She lives in Florida. She came up and I braved going down to the mall, which you will do exactly once, maybe twice when your college roommate comes up. Because it's chaos, but it's super fun. And it's another example of what Dean Waters was talking about, these lifelong friendships. When I first met her, I thought she was a little stuck up because she was so shy. Turns out she's just shy. She's amazing. She's still my best friend. So I spent, over a decade traveling all over the world as part of my job at the State Department. And I've had a lot of very interesting experiences. I was in Algiers here, I was in Peshawar here, I was in Nairobi here. So I've been all over. I was very close to a lion in the Serengeti there. So I've had amazing experiences. But the primary thrust of the work that I do has been counterterrorism. And that is work that gets real fast. I spent a number of years, you probably saw I was at the Taj Mahal Hotel. This is the Taj Mahal Hotel, 2 months before I arrived. I was there on an investigation for that, the bombing there in 2008. This is the bombing of the Marriott Hotel in Islamabad. I was there a week before that. I worked on a number of the attacks against our forces and our embassy in Afghanistan. Worked on both the Madrid and the London bombings. I worked on the bombing of our consulate in Peshawar. I worked on the kidnappings of a number of Americans, particularly in Pakistan. The first case that I worked on was the bombing of the Paradise Hotel in Mombasa. So this is pretty serious work. This is the Consul General in Peshawar, who there was an attempted kidnapping of, and so I worked on that investigation. I worked on the determination of whether to remove Libya from the state sponsors of terrorism list. I authored the intelligence community assessment that evaluated that. I may have been on the wrong side of history on that one, but I was an honest assessment at the time. So all that to say, that really informs my approach as a professor, and that is that I come to you as a practitioner. I come to you as a person who is intending to prepare you to do this kind of work because I have done it. And there are a number of things that I will ask of you that are, a little bit uncomfortable, and that's a good thing. There's this idea out here like, I'm good at something, and I'm like, well, that's super, but that doesn't determine everything. Some things are acquired skills. I don't enjoy public speaking. I am a massive introvert. I worked on my dissertation at one point for 3 months, in an office alone. And my friend said, we should start a program of visiting Trisha so she gets more human interaction. And I was like, no, I'm good. I'm pretty happy with my books and my writing. But the reality is you have to learn skills that maybe don't come to you naturally. Your natural affinity for something doesn't necessarily determine everything about what you should do. You need to be developing those weak muscles as well. Writing is another skill like that. You need to be developing different styles of writing. For example, I work on teaching my students the bottom line up front style of writing. The first time I wrote a presidential daily brief, that's the daily intel product that the president gets. I walked into my boss's office, I handed it to him. I was so excited if I was a dog, you'd see my tag wailing. I thought it was amazing. And he was like, oh, this looks really good. Now, see your conclusion here? Take that and start the piece with it and rewrite the whole thing. And I was like, right. The reality is, in the policy world, they need to know exactly what you're going to tell them immediately. They don't have time for you to build them to the exciting, crescendo conclusion, climax at the end. They need to know like a punch. This is what I'm going to tell you, this is what you need to know, and everything after that is supporting data. And that's a real reversal from how you guys are taught to write in a lot of other contexts. So you need to have these different kinds of writing skills. You need to have different kinds of abilities to present in different audiences. Sometimes you get your super formal presentation with your PowerPoint in 10 minutes and it's all great. And sometimes, like my colleague, one of my very good friends, Shezi, who briefed the president recently on the Pakistani elections, they went in and they told her she had 7 minutes to brief the president on a major election. She walked in, she got 4 before he dove in and they went in a completely different direction. This is the kind of thing that you need to be prepared for, that you're going to be able to pivot in those kinds of ways. And that's why in my classes, I'll say to you, go ahead and prepare a 10-minute presentation. When you get here, I'll tell you how long it's actually going to be. And you need to be able to do that, because that is going to be how it actually goes down for you. I view your participation in my class as the way you would participate in a meeting. If you walk into a meeting and you sit there silently the entire time, you do not influence the outcome. You do not influence the decisions that are being made at those meetings. So you can't go into your classes and just sit there silently and expect that I'm going to see you as having an impact, that I am going to view your participation positively. It's a shift in mindset, but it's one that even though it's uncomfortable at first, it's a muscle. And you just keep working on it, and it gets natural over time. I am a professor. I talk publicly as part of a major part of my job. You get there. You get there eventually. The other thing that I do as a practitioner is I bring you guys people who are doing the jobs that you want to do. As I say, my work in the State Department, our colleagues' works in this school of public affairs, you're affecting people's lives, and it gets real fast. And so I bring you those people so that you can hear about the different styles and the different experiences. There's no one way to succeed at these things. So part of what you get in this school is that you get access to people who are doing the jobs that you want to do. So there's a variety of roles that I see myself as having as a professor, and some of those you already have, you said teachers that you had in high school and up till now. What are some of the roles that you see your professors as having? Oh, you weren't raising your hand. Looking your hair, but now you're on the spot. Aren't you so glad you sat in the front row? I'm coming back there. I'm on my way back. Definitely mentoring. That is something that all of your professors will do to some degree, but that you also need to be seeking out professors whose style and whose work fits well with what you want in terms of your career, or even if they work in a very different field, the way that they carry themselves, the way that they approach their work. You need to always be looking at your professors in that way. As promised, here I come. What are the other things that you look for in a professor? A gentleman in the middle in the purple.
I would say role model.
Definitely a role model. And that is what we all aspire to be for you as well. People that you can look to as having provided a path and providing an example. What else? You can all like point at yourselves. Somebody say something.
A helper.
A helper. You were actually the first time that anyone said that, and I'll tell you why that makes me super happy. First of all, in one respect, professors are very much like the relationships you're going to have with your bosses from here on. We will provide you a significant amount of guidance, but there's a certain amount of assessment that you need to do vis-a-vis all of your professors. What is important to them? What is it that they're looking for? Some professors care very much about your ability to take the material that they've taught you and you need to apply it in a test setting, for example. And they care about your ability to make that translation. I care very much about your ability to write and public speak and those kinds of qualities, as I talked about before. So you need to sit there and do that kind of analysis, and you will do this for the rest of your life with all of your bosses. What is important to you as a boss? What is it that you're looking for? What signposts am I providing for you about what is important? And you need to be consciously assessing that with all of your professors all of the time. We give you the beauty of a syllabus. Read your syllabus. You will get, whatever, 5 of them, and they're all like 12,000 pages long. But sit down and read them, because there are very important hints to you about what's important to me in those syllabus. And as you mentioned, it's teaching you the content. It's giving you the information. It's giving you the background of the expertise that I have, imparting it to you in that kind of structured environment. And there's the mentoring and guiding and role modeling that we talked about. But there's also some other roles that you think about less often. And one is, as you say, providing this guidance, being a sounding board for you. And this gargoyle had a lot of problems before I talked to him. He is straight loud. And we're not your parents, but we are people that can give you guidance. We are people who can hear out. You know, yeah, you don't want to come to me every time you have a fight with your roommate, but if you are having serious problems with your living situation, you can talk to me about that. If you're having concerns about your major or how to handle different classes, we are there as sounding boards for you guys constantly. And we're also your advocates. We are all committed to you. We are committed to your success. We are committed to you succeeding in whatever way you decide you want to succeed. And sometimes it will be an adorable Memorial Mustang cheerleader, which is me, not 40 years ago, as some of you think, but 10 years ago. 10 years ago. Sometimes I say things to make myself feel better. But other times, the package in which that encouragement is going to come is going to be a little bit more difficult. And it's not going to be something that's going to feel super great when you hear it, but you need to be able to take the criticism, the critiques, the ways to improve, knowing that it's because we're committed to you and to encouraging you and to making you into better people, better students, and better professionals. I have another really important role as a professor, and that is the research that I do. Half of my time, let's say, is spent teaching, and the other half is spent on my own research. And you really want to know what kind of research your professors are doing, because there's a lot of opportunities for you there that extend beyond the classroom. I do a lot on terrorist group behavior. I'm writing a book on terrorist group alliance behavior, for example, and you can see some of the groups that I've worked on in this context. This is really difficult research. These are not people who are prone to being like, come interview me, and like that pans out well for you. This is difficult research, and I do need assistance with it. And I have students who do really interesting work for me on this. Sometimes it's translating, sometimes it's archival research, sometimes it's going out and talking to other professionals, sometimes it's even travel. So there are a lot of opportunities for you if you look beyond kind of the narrow relationship that you have in the classroom with your professors. So really think about this, especially as you start to find professors that you gravitate towards in terms of the kind of work that they do. Have this in the back of your mind, because it's not necessarily presented to you. As Dean Waters talked about, some of this is your own initiative and you taking ownership of what you want. So I'll give you a few pieces of unsolicited advice that I think would be helpful. So this is, I've Googled like, when should students go to office hours to see like what you'd find if you did that. And there is this hilarious graph about when you go, right? The red is time to plead and cry for my grade. The purple is time for midterms and I'm still confused. This purple is a paper is due and I'm still confused. This is I'm really confused, I'm still confused, and I'm confused for the first time. None of these are when you should go for the first time to see your professors. You should make it a habit to go see all of your professors early and often. Yes, if you are confused, come see us. But don't just come see us because you're confused. Come see us so that we get to know you as people. We get to know what it is that you're trying to get out of your college experience, out of our classes specifically, what it is that you're thinking about. We are a resource for you, and we have office hours for a reason. And it's, if you come to me for the first time, when you're in this red category, don't let the door hit you on your way out, because that is not going to work. I will, however, be pretty sympathetic if you come to me at this point if we've talked the entire semester. And I know how hard you've been working, and I know what's been difficult for you, or I know you have personal circumstances that have hindered your ability to succeed. That is an entirely different story. But I don't know that unless we've had an ongoing relationship. And just seeing you in the classroom is simply not enough for me to know you in that way. And you want letters for recommendation later from me. You want me to introduce you to my professional network. You want those things, and I do those for students who I know on that level, and who I know I can recommend in those kinds of ways. So take this advice very seriously, if you take nothing else except the fact that I am not 40. Just kidding. The thing that I would also suggest that you take away is time management. Everybody in this city that I know, with a few exceptions, is smart. The exceptions think they're smart. So let's just assume we're in a smart kind of, a densely populated smart area. The people who succeed are not the smartest people in my experience. They're the people who know how to manage their time. They're the people who are organized. They're the people who know when their deadlines are and they plan for them. They sit down at the beginning of a semester or whatever comparable time frame they have and they say, here's when my exams are. here's when my papers are due. And they plan back from that they're going to start the work beforehand. This isn't our first rodeo. We know when you wrote a paper overnight. It is obvious to us. We've even done it once or twice, and we have not had a good outcome, so don't do it. But very early in your semesters, and constantly throughout your semesters, manage your time. It is a balancing act, and it's never a perfect one. But if you actually do this kind of organization, you're going to find that your product is much better, and you're actually going to be more successful. And you may have a super smart roommate who will not study and get an A one time, and you're like, why does that happen? It doesn't happen. That won't continue. It doesn't continue over time. There's too many smart people in this field and in this city in particular for that to be a successful strategy. The other thing that I would tell you is that we all have concentration problems. I like to think I developed mine at the State Department, where I had 3 different email accounts and computer systems based on the level of classification. So I developed kind of this frenetic, like always checking a different system. I think part of it's also that we have cell phones, right? We're always checking our cell phones, we're always checking our emails, we're always checking our Facebook. Do you guys still use Facebook, or is that like one of these, I'm 40 and I'm not sure what you guys are using? Is that Facebook? Okay, cool. MySpace, Friendster? No. Just kidding, I knew that. So we have this kind of pace of breaking our concentration all the time. And there's a lot of studies out there that demonstrate when you break concentration like that constantly, you have to restart when you return to your tasks at hand. And that you need to take blocks of time, and they don't even have to be that long, where you're concentrating on specific tasks. And I do this, especially when I'm having trouble writing. And I had my students do this last semester. It's called the tomato timer. It's very sophisticated. It gives you a 25-minute timer, and you commit to a task during that time. And you get a 5-minute break, at which time you check Facebook, your email, Friendster, all the aforementioned things. And what you find is, of course, there's nothing that can't wait 25 minutes, but that you're more productive in the time that you are concentrating when you do that. And you set aside this time, and you're more efficient, and it goes to what I was talking about with being organized. If you're organized and efficient with your time, you are ultimately going to be more successful. My students did this, and I did it. We did it all together. The first time I set my timer to sit and write, I was writing. I was like, look at me go, I'm so good at this. And then I was like, I'm gonna check how much time has passed, and like 3.5 minutes had passed. I would have ordinarily checked my email. So I suggest you guys try this over the summer and realize that we've all developed this kind of constant multitasking, which is actually hurting our concentration and our ability to effectively absorb information. They did a test of some students, I think at Cornell, and they found that the people who did this kind of multitasking versus the concentrated period, the multitaskers scored 20% lower on tests that they did subsequently. So it's something to seriously think about in terms of your own study habits. So, lastly, what do I expect from you? Do you guys know who Woody Allen is?
Of course.
Yes. Right? Yeah, Woody Allen. This is his big thing, right? 80% of success is showing up. You know this quote, right? Yeah, Woody Allen's an idiot. It's not even really funny. I mean, personally, he's kind of creepy. So, it's not enough to show up. 80% of success is absolutely not showing up. It is essential, but it is absolutely not enough. You need to be prepared. You need to show up to your classes having done your readings. I will tell you that there are very few times where I will assign you reading, you will come into my classroom, I will lecture you on what you just read, and that will be what we do. I assume you can read. I assume you understand what you're reading. You're going to take what you've read and you're going to keep going from it. So you're going to have a level of comprehension that assumes that you've read, let alone done your assignments. So this is the very baseline, is that I would say 5% of success is showing up. The other 95% is being prepared when you show up for every class. And as Dean Waters said, you will go to every class, right? Yes, 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 yes. I also assume that you're paying attention to what I've said at a very basic level. Pay attention to the deadlines I set, to my instructions. These are your responsibility. It is not my responsibility to kind of take you and make sure you got it, check in on you. These now become very much your responsibility. I save them in the syllabus. You don't have extended conversations about them again unless you need to talk about them. I expect you to have paid attention to what I've said and that I don't have to repeat myself. There is a thing that you hear on the quad as a professor that will like make your blood boil, and that is, I don't even know why I need to take this class. I don't need to know this. There is a very basic idea that none of us knows what we need to know. You don't know that. It's impossible to know that. And I'm sure I said it, so I'm being a total hypocrite, but I'm comfortable with it. Because I was not a strong science person. And I didn't like it, so I was always like, I don't need science. Well, those bombings that we just looked at a few pictures back don't happen spontaneously. There are things that happen behind them, and there are components that go together, and there are chemicals that go together that I need to be able to understand. I'm not the investigator responsible for those, but if I don't understand those, then I can't really fully understand the capability, for example, of a terrorist organization. So I was being a little silly when I said that. I don't love math. It's just not the way I go. But I do go to dinner with people. And I do have to split the check sometimes. And I do have to leave tips. So these are all important. That is to say, you don't know what you're going to need to know. So keep an open mind. And even the classes that you don't love, part of what you're learning and trying to accomplish in those classes and succeed in those classes is the discipline to do things when you don't like them. Because sometimes we have to do things we don't like to do. Is that news? No, it's good news. You know that. I also expect that you'll let me know what you need to know from me. I recognize that I wrote this wrong. I think I wrote it after the winery. It's fine. But in general, I don't know what you need to know. I don't know what you don't understand. So you need to tell me. And that is something that I expect. And I also do things like I do an anonymous survey monkey halfway through the semester and say, how are things going? What do I need to know? But if you're already telling me, then I don't need to do that. And it benefits both of us if you tell me what you need from me. And I will do it if I know what you need. And lastly, that you will make an effort to figure it out. Oh, that's not lastly. Second to lastly, that you'll make an effort to figure it out. This is the time when you're taking the ownership that sometimes the instructions that I give you the first time I give them to you are not 100% here's a roadmap to how to do it. It's because there's some trial and error that you need to go through in order to learn how to do things yourself. And this is very much something that translates into this field. The first time I was supposed to go out to one of these bombing sites, no one was like, here is everything you should do once you get there. That isn't how that works. You have to be able to learn sometimes by doing and by trial and error. Lastly, that you learn from your mistakes. For example, when you turn in your papers to me, I will go through them and I don't use red pen, I usually use purple, so it hurts less. And I'll give you my edits. If I keep having to correct your twos and twos and your and yours, I get seriously irritated by that. You get to make mistakes, and I'll correct them. Do not keep making the same mistakes. Pay attention when we give you feedback and make those adjustments there forward. And that very much will translate to the work environment. Your boss does not want to keep correcting the same mistakes, and if you keep making the same mistakes, it hurts your credibility. So something to take very seriously. As a professor, I take time to give you feedback. So I expect that you're paying attention to it and that you're going to make those adjustments. Having said that and been kind of stern with you just now, what I would say is that I would love to see all of you. In my office hours, you can send me an email, just tell me how you're doing, tell me what's going on. You don't have to be in my classes. You should be in my classes. We don't have to be in my classes in order to come and have conversations with me about how things are going. And I am confident that none of you guys are going to forget my name or my email because I've kind of hammered it again because bacon at American is amazing. And in a true story, my first boyfriend's name was Dan Sizzler. I wish I could make this up, but I'm not. I promise you I'm not. And so they'd be like, it's sizzling. And I'd be like, shut up. So that all happened. It's true. My office is in Hearst. This is my email, and I am always available. So please come see me, and please take all this advice on board, the input you're getting from all of this, and have a lot of fun with it too. Have a lot of fun.
Professor Marr regarding the leadership program.
Good afternoon. Are you still enjoying American?
Yes.
Great. I am here today with a couple of our students to tell you about an extraordinary experience that's available to you because you are SPA students, and that is the SPA Undergraduate Leadership Program. Hopefully you all received a copy of our brochure in the mail. Raise your hand if you did. Good. And how many of you checked out our website? Outstanding. Anybody look at the Facebook? Cool, cool. Got some pictures there. Appreciate that. So there you learned that ours is a 4-year program. It culminates in a certificate in advanced leadership studies, and it was recorded permanently on your transcript and there follows you for the rest of your life. It was founded 24 years ago by President Kerwin when he was the dean of SPA. All these years later, our mission remains the same, to provide you with the knowledge, skills, and experience to prepare you for leadership roles in public service. We do that with 3 components. One is a classroom. We meet once a week for 6 of the 8 semesters that you're here at AU. We also do this through experiential learning, which we're going to tell you about in a second, and through a very strong community building component to our program. First, in the classroom, this offers you a space to meet with a group of other people who share your desire to make a positive impact on society. Together we explore questions of common concern. We study leaders and their causes. We study leadership theory, best practices, always trying to identify what does this mean for my own development as an admirable leader. We also practice essential leadership skills like effective communication. We practice active listening. That gargoyle is a better follower because he was listened to, yeah? Okay? Listening is really critical to leadership. Public speaking, debate, consensus building, and making our way through those difficult conversations that every leader encounters. We engage in team building, decision-making exercises, and practice negotiation. We take a variety of personality assessments to better understand ourselves as leaders and to gain skills at looking for internships and jobs, such as cover letters, resumes. We practice interview skills, networking. We're ready to tackle the professional world when we graduate from the program. We also engage in experiential learning, which I think is just critical to learning how to be a leader. You can't learn how to be a leader by reading books. You have to go out and do it. So what we do is in first and second year, our students choose a social problem of concern to them. They study it. They find out what other people are doing about it. They talk to people who are affected by it. They talk to people who are studying it. And with this information, they design their own unique project to address this problem. And they go about implementing it in the second semester. They can do whatever they want to do as long as it's legal. Yeah? In the first year, they work together in groups with the gentle guidance of a sophomore TA. In the second year, they work individually with the gentle guidance of a senior in the program to help you go through these steps and to build teams outside of the program to execute your project. In the sophomore year, students have created organizations, written books, produced plays, made videos, designed websites, sponsored awareness events, conducted original research, you name it. My hope is that our students will tell you a little bit about their work on their social action projects. In the third year, our students choose an internship. In the classroom, they meet weekly with their classmates and a professional in the DC area who acts as a guide, teaching them about organizational behavior. This is the theory of how organizations operate and the dysfunctions of organizations. And you compare that with what you're witnessing in your internship. It causes this theory to come alive. And then you come back in the last semester at AU for a senior seminar with your fellow classmates. The same people you started with are the people that you end with. You have 2 semesters off after your sophomore year to do whatever you want to do. You can study abroad, you can work on campaigns, you can take a semester off, whatever you want to do. But you can, so those of you who are in a 3-year program or who want to graduate early, you can still finish the leadership program. In addition, we have very strong community building. Leadership is a lot about relationship, and so we work really hard to build a strong community among our existing students and our alumni. During orientation week, we take you on a number of outings to get to know your classmates and the older students in the program, as well as have a barbecue for you to get to know the alumni in our program. In the beginning of this fall semester, every first-year student is paired with an older student in the program who acts as their buddy to help mentor you and guide you through this transformative experience that is your first year in college and for years afterwards. Sophomores are paired with a professional in the field of interest to them. They meet with them. These are often program alum who meet with them three times throughout the year, talk with them monthly to help you develop your career interests, to figure out what kind of internships you want, and to help you land that internship down the line. We also go on retreat 3 out of the 4 years in the program. In the first year, at the end of your first week of classes, we go on a 2-night retreat, and magically, in less than 48 hours, some of the strongest friendships are forged. People not only through college, but through the rest of their lives. That added to the number of events that we have throughout the year leads to a very strong sense of community. Gabe and I just returned from a wedding of a leadership class of 11 and 12. Both sides of the stage were occupied by leadership students, and in the bridal and the groom's parties, the officiant was actually a leadership student. It was a blast. We danced our hearts out. It was a really good time. And that's the nature of the leadership program. It's a very strong community that's built. When we are not at a wedding, we use DC as our laboratory in leadership development. We tour the monuments during the cherry blossoms every year. We visited Mount Vernon, and we've gone to the Frederick Douglass House, the Diplomatic State Department rooms, watched oral arguments before the Supreme Court, gone to congressional hearings, gone river tubing, played laser tag, gone ice skating, you name it. What the students want to do, and they're responsible for organizing it, and they learn a whole lot about leadership in the process of developing those events. We end every year with a formal dinner dance. We send our seniors off to amazing careers in law and politics, international relations, education, public policy, a wide variety of fields, all with 20 years of alumni as a network to support them. Students find that their experiences in the leadership program are very valuable in securing rewarding internships, graduate school opportunities, winning scholarships, pursuing fulfilling careers. Our students tell me repeatedly that they talk about what they've done in the leadership program in their interviews. About a week and a half ago, I got an email from a recent graduate who had gone to an interview at this big fancy lobbying firm. Very excited. He wants to be a lobbyist very badly. And he said, "You won't believe it. In the middle of this interview, the door opens up, and who should walk in but a leadership alum from the class of 11 who said, I couldn't miss an interview of a fellow Spleeter." And they sat down and they chatted, and numbers of interviews later, our recent graduate is now a new associate in the lobbying firm working for this leadership alum. Couldn't be happier for him. I think I'm in the business of making dreams come true, and when that happens, it makes me really happy. To help you do that, our faculty, including myself and adjuncts, mentor you throughout all 4 years and obviously thereafter to help you make sure that your dreams come true. Some of that leads to some really extraordinary opportunities for our students. They win awards, scholarships, prestigious internships, such as the White House. This handout that your family member got describes some of that. We've recently been very fortunate to have 8 students intern in the White House, and I just received news that another student who is an orientation coordinator for you, Isha Bave, has been offered a position next year. I'm looking forward to her decision. When our students not only find success off campus, but they're deeply engaged on campus as well. In addition to Isha, for example, both the president and vice president of the College Republicans and College Democrats, respectively, are leadership students. 5 of the last 7 student government presidents have been leadership students. Our current Speaker of the Student Government Senate is a leadership student. And this is why, partly why, the president formed our organization those 20 years ago, because he looked out and he saw that SPA students were running clubs and organizations across campus, and he wanted to support them in their endeavors and to prepare them for their roles in leadership and public service thereafter. So to help you better understand the program from the student's perspective, we have today 2 students with us. One is Emily Green. She is a rising sophomore, just finished her first year in the leadership program, a CLEG major. Next year, she will serve as programming coordinator, putting together some of those events that we just talked about earlier, outings and gatherings and such. She will also serve as a Special Olympics chair for her sorority, Phi Sigma Sigma. She comes from Greenville, South Carolina, where she served as a co-editor-in-chief of her school newspaper, president of the Interact Club. program coordinator for the YMCA Outdoor Center, in addition to her work serving my favorite dessert, ice cream. Gabe Menchaca is also here. He's a rising senior in the program. He's taking time off from his internship at the Civil Appellate Division of the Department of Justice, where he works alongside several other leadership students. He's a Michigan native. He's an honors student with a major in political science and a minor in business administration here at AU. He has a strong interest in political theory and was very honored to receive the Political Theory Institute's Best Paper in Classical Liberalism. In addition to his internship, he's also very active on campus, serving as a teaching assistant for us in his sophomore year while being elected to his fraternity, SIGEP. Not all of our leadership students are in Greek life. Some of them are. And so after serving as the president of his Greek life organization, he went on to serve as president of the university's Interfraternal Council, which oversees whole Greek life organizations across campus. He's been tapped to serve on several important task forces in the next year, including that one centered on sexual assault and the Blue Ribbon Review of AU's Greek life program. He will also serve as a senior teaching assistant for our sophomores, guiding them through their creation of their social action projects. And I'm really delighted that you're both here. Emily, would you like to start us off?
Hi, welcome to AU. My name is Emily Green, and I just finished my freshman year at AU in the leadership program, and I can say with confidence that the leadership program was a huge factor in shaping my freshman year. The project that I worked on, so your freshman year, you're going to work in small groups, to develop a social action project, and my group was focused on urban development. So within that, we worked on our topic a little bit, and we decided to address the stigma and stereotypes that people have against homeless people. So for our project, we had like a multifaceted kind of approach to this. We had an online campaign, which culminated in an event that occurred at Eastern Market, where we invited people from the National Coalition of the Homeless, their Faces of Homelessness Speakers Bureau, and these are people who are homeless or formerly homeless, and we invited them to come and talk to people passing by through Eastern Market about like what it actually means to be homeless, because people do have these misconceptions about what homeless people are like. So we got the connection to the National Coalition through a leadership student, and it's been, the project was definitely a success in our eyes, and we learned a lot along the way. Probably for me, since it's only my first year, I don't have like an extensive resume or anything yet, but the best part of leadership for me so far has definitely been the relationship building. There is a girl my freshman year who also had a leadership poster on her door. She lived on my floor. And I heard Monica before I saw her. She is very loud. She's from LA. She's used to being the center of attention. Didn't really think we were going to be friends, to be honest. And little did I know that on our freshman retreat, she and I were attached at the hip because she's never been camping before. So bless her heart. I'm from the South. I've been outside before. It doesn't scare me. And she, so we made it through. It was a struggle. I've since been with her in the hospital as her appendix was removed, and now we're going to be roommates next year, and we have a suite with 2 other leadership students. So that's just another example of the many relationships that you'll have through the leadership program. Also, I would like to mention that through the leadership program, I've learned about myself as well, and I think that's been the most beneficial thing for me is that in the leadership class and through meeting other people, it's very reflective, and you learn about yourself, how you relate to other leaders, and I think that's probably going to be very advantageous for me as I enter the working world. So I'm going to turn over to Gabe.
How are you all doing? I'm not going to use the microphone. If you can't hear me in the back, raise your hand, but my voice carries pretty well. So I'm going to give you guys the Cliff Notes version first of what I've done in the leadership program. So as Professor Marr mentions, I've been at TA twice. I'm going to do it again this year for the sophomore class. And my freshman year, my issue group worked on putting on a conference to combat the issue of violence against trans women of color in Washington, D.C. There was a rate of irrational hate crimes that semester, and so that's what we really focused on. My sophomore year, I developed a curriculum to teach high school students resume and cover letter and interview skills because the research really shows that once you get your foot in the door, it's a lot easier and you're a lot more employable. But I'm going to tell you why I keep getting roped back into being a TA for the leadership program and why I'm here. I took time off work to come out here. 3 years ago, which is crazy, this is a really surreal experience for me. 3 years ago, I was sitting in your seats. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I walked out of that door and I met a couple of leadership students at the leadership table. And one of them and I, we talked for a while. We kind of really hit it off. We had a really great conversation, and that's really what prompted me to actually apply for the leadership program. But the funny thing is, Professor Marr mentioned that she and I were just at a wedding of some leadership alums. That guy that I talked to at that table, actually, he and I drove out. I, the gentleman who got married, and most of the other leadership students there are all in the same fraternity. And so for me, this is kind of a weird bow to put on my leadership career because it all started right here in this room and right in that hallway. So I think the thing for me that I like about the leadership program is that it's given me the tools to succeed everywhere else. I've been really active within the leadership program, but the things I value most in college have happened outside the classroom. I'm probably in the extreme minority in this room that I like political theory, I like political philosophy, that's what I do. But my favorite experiences in college have been at the helm of organizations. That's what I really like to do. And so I got hired for my job at the Department of Justice 2 years ago, which also feels weird because I've been there for so long, by a leadership alum. I hired leadership students to work for me. And so that's why I keep coming back, because the leadership program changed my idea of what's possible in my own life. I never would have thought sitting in this seat that I could have done half the things that I have done so far in college. I just got back from my fraternity's highest honor when I got sent to Greece with 19 other guys for free for 10 days. As far as I'm concerned, leadership is the reason that I got there. Leadership is the reason that all of the good things that have happened to me in college have come about. And so I challenge you to take a look at the application and to really make sure you think long and hard about what you want to do in college. Because there are a lot of opportunities on campus. I didn't think I would do half the organizations I've been a part of. But the leadership program changed my idea of what I can do in my own life. Because being around people of high ideals, high aspirations, and high intensity is the single biggest thing that you can do for yourself to make you successful. And the leadership program is just one of the many ways to do it. Personally, I think it's the best way to do it on campus, but I'll leave you guys to decide that for yourselves. So welcome to AU, welcome to SPA, and thanks for coming out.
So, as you can see, leadership students are an extraordinary bunch. And these are some star-studded folk, but don't be intimidated. You do not have to be star-studded already. The whole point of the leadership program is to help you grow your stars and shine brightly, okay? What leadership students do share in common is a deep commitment to social justice. They have really diverse views about what that means. We would have students here telling you that Greek life is the worst thing that ever happened, right? We have people who believe all kinds of different things about how to make the world a better place, but each of them is deeply dedicated to doing everything they can to make it better, to make sure that this world is better when they leave it than they found it. What they come out of it with is enduring friendships, a greater sense of themselves and what they can achieve, and with well-honed skills at working together with other leaders to achieve common goals, to set out to do what they want to do and then to achieve it. It does take work, to be sure. The leadership program takes about, the work in the class is about 3 to 8 hours a week. This is about the same as another 3-credit class. For the leadership program, you'll get 1 academic credit. This allows you to do everything else you want to do too without running into the 17-unit cap. But, that's right. But it is possible to do the leadership program and basically everything else the university has to offer. University College, the honors program, or its recent replacement as AU Scholars, double major, internships, honors, study abroad, student government, sports, extracurricular activities, graduate in 3 years, you name it. And in fact, you're going to be more able to do all of those things by being in the leadership program, because we encourage you to aim high. We surround you with other people who do as well. We are there to support you when you falter, and we're there to celebrate with you when you succeed. All right? So I'm often asked, what does it take to get into the leadership program? What are you looking for? It's on the website. We're looking for the capacity to develop your leadership skills. This doesn't mean that you're already a leader. It means that you want to learn how to do that. A strong desire to learn. Attributes that make leaders great. What do you think makes a leader great? Think about it. Think of two things. All right? Here's what we think transcends all those things. Not just whether or not you got a great smile, although that's useful too. Do you take the initiative? Are you mature? Do you have intelligence? Do you have really good work ethic? Do you have follow through? Are you passionate? And do you able to work well with others? All those things are going to help you turn you into an admirable leader. We are also deeply committed to diversity. All right? In this day and age, you cannot expect to do anything or do it well without working with people who are not like you. One of the things we really want you to learn in the leadership program is that you will make much better decisions if you surround yourself with people who don't think like you. So we mean diversity not just like in the Title VII categories, which are very important to be sure, but also a diversity of identities, experiences, backgrounds, personalities. We want the political beliefs, all the way, the whole spectrum, not just Democrat and Republican, but the whole spectrum. And we want a diversity of leadership styles. Many of us, when you ask what is a leader, you're going to think of the president of some organization, the person who's at the helm. And to be sure, people who are at the forefront of a movement or organization, a government, they are certainly leaders. But that's not the only kind of leader. Another kind of leader is the one who's behind the scenes, who never really has to take credit. A new book calls them the invisibles. All right, but these are the people who make sure the organization operates. The train gets there on time, everybody's on the train, all right? These are really critical people to a mission's success and our leaders. We want quiet leaders, and we want loud, proud leaders like Monica, yeah? Okay? We want leaders who lead with their brains. Those who have very strong strategic thinking skills are very valuable to any mission. And we also want those people who lead with their brawn, who no matter what their virus is, they get out there and do the very best that they possibly can, right? They're the ones who move a mountain shovel by shovelful if they absolutely have to. They got the muscle to make sure that it gets done. We want those charismatic leaders who lead with their smiles, okay? And we also always want the leaders who lead with the love in your heart. In fact, I think that you can't lead without love. So, if you want to join this incredible organization, I encourage you to fill out the application, which is due the 15th. And I get it. You are so over applications, right? You are just done, right? Just one more. Just one more. You can do it. This is not a mistake I want you to make. We will support you through making lots of other mistakes, but don't make the mistake of not applying to the program. If you have any interest in this, please be sure to apply. We look forward to reading your application.